Hello and welcome back to another episode on the BM Valeting YouTube channel. Today we're going to be looking at how to distinguish between a ceramic coating and a spray wax or a spray sealant. Right from the get-go, we don't need any technical data to be able to distinguish which is a good ceramic coating and which is a spray sealant or a spray wax, because it's all to do with the packaging that they come in for the packaging regulations. So to start, we're going to start off with something quite basic. Everybody knows spaghetti bolognese and everybody knows noodles. If you go to a restaurant and you order spaghetti bolognese, you'd expect it to come with spaghetti under a nice big pile of bolognese sauce. But if you go to a restaurant and you order spaghetti bolognese, and instead of using spaghetti, they use noodles, you'd know the difference, because you can tell the difference between spaghetti and noodles. But if you didn't know the difference, you'd sit there thinking, yeah, this is quite a good spaghetti bolognese. But it's not, it's noodle bolognese. So even if we wrote spaghetti on this packet, it still doesn't make it spaghetti. It is still noodles. It doesn't matter if you put bolognese on it, it's still not spaghetti bolognese. It is noodles with bolognese on. This stuff, however, is spaghetti. This is the actual stuff. So when you order spaghetti bolognese, it comes with spaghetti. Now, that might sound like a bit of a random waffle about some random food, but let's say somebody's offering a ceramic, but it's not. It's a spray wax or a spray sealant. So let's say that this is the ceramic and this is the spray sealant. So this is the noodles, this is the spaghetti. If you order spaghetti bolognese, you get this. But what happens if you order ceramic, this stuff, but in actual fact they supply you with a spray sealant? How can you as the consumer easily identify between the two? Oh, that's quite simple. Let's take a look. So here we've got a selection of ceramic coatings and their toppers. This one we've had for quite a while in the cupboard, and apparently we didn't put the lid on correctly. So, as you can see there, through the label is actually a solid barrier of the chemical. Now if we tip that upside down, it's a physical solid barrier. Literally air at the bottom, not going through it, and the liquid at the top isn't dropping back through. It's a physical resin-like structure in there. This one, we actually managed to seal the lid correctly the last time that we used it. This is crystal serum light. It's still in there. This one, again, I don't think we've used this one, so it's still a fresh bottle. This one again is a topper. It can be used on its own, as well as on top of this one. And this one as well, we've used this one and we've managed to seal that. Now the glass on these bottles minimises light going through them. We normally keep them in a dark cupboard, but as you'll notice, they all come in glass bottles. And the reason for this is how they work. in the liquid, there are what we call VOCs, which are volatile organic compounds. By their nature, they have a very low boiling point. So they boil and evaporate in minus temperatures. So minus 19, minus 20, and they're already in their gaseous state. So they need to be sealed and contained in a strong bottle. One, for travelling, because if you drop these bottles, they don't just break. They kind of bounce and roll a bit, and then you've got to go chasing after them. And because of the VOCs in them, as they evaporate, they do actually build up a bit of pressure in the bottle. So if these were in plastic bottles, the plastic bottles just wouldn't be sufficient to store them safely. So now you're in position and you can actually see what I'm doing and talking about. Put that there. So this one already is really quite thick. It's got this consistency of honey, I would say. Nah, probably not quite honey. Honey on a hot day. That's its consistency right now. So that's that one. We have used this one. This one, as you can see, a little bit wetter. It's a slightly lower protection level, and that is again a proper ceramic coating. We've got the one that we essentially use as the topper, which is a chemical resistant coating, and that one again, very wet, runs very quick. So just to compare that against now I've not actually got any ceramic spray sealants because I don't buy them, because one thing I can't stand is incorrect marketing or stuff that's not as sold. You can see that one's pretty much water. That's an absolute tiny amount. That will dry it probably at the same rate of water. As it evaporates, there's still chemicals in that will evaporate. This is an SiO2 spray sealant. So this is essentially what a lot of places would sell as a ceramic coating, but it's not. It's a spray wax or a spray sealant with silica in it. This one will pretty much run forever. This one is just a spray sealant because it comes in a spray bottle. These ones, you can see how they're quite thick. This one's already kind of going a little bit tacky. This one, if you watch closely, it's already forming a skin. That is the ceramic forming. That is essentially a very thick layer of what would be applied to your car. So we'll leave this again to see how hard it goes. And as you can see, the spray sealant, which a lot of places will advertise as a ceramic spray, a ceramic wax, a ceramic based wax, it's kind of just already down here, not really doing much. An explanation of how the VOCs in ceramic coatings work. Black one is the paint surface. So there's your paint surface. The coating itself, let's say that's red, that goes on there, all the way along, because we're coating the whole surface. Blue for the VOCs. So that's in there. This bit here would be its liquid unset form. The VOCs evaporate into the air, leaving behind the actual coating itself. So there's the coating. So essentially, they evaporate, leave behind a resin or the coating. The coating is then either left if it's a standalone coating, or it will get a second layer of what we refer to as a topper. And the topper is usually a chemical resistant protection for the coating that's on the bottom, because the green one, so the green dots here would represent the chemical protection, and the red dots would represent the mechanical abrasion protection, which can vary in strength, but one is better at protecting against one thing than the other. So collectively, they work together to produce something that is far superior than just the one on its own. And then once again, the VOCs of the topper, let's draw some more VOCs in there. VOCs evaporate, and this here will be your final product. So you've got the cast paint, the protection, and the protection topper. Now if it comes in a spray bottle, like we mentioned in the first bit of the video, it will be a spray wax, possibly with SiO2, siloxanes, silicas. It will add a hydrophobic character to the paint, but it doesn't really offer any sort of major protection, for the simple fact that, let me get a colour that makes sense, it's just a bunch of molecules that sit on the paint like that, and it's pretty much an instant thing. If there's one thing I'm not a rocket surgeon, but I shall do my best to explain to you how silicons and SiO2 based products work. So we've got done dusted Si addition, Brightmax silica primer polish, SiO2 again, got the SiO2 spray sealant. These work by having a polymer. So a polymer let's split this up into its root words. Mono, one or singular, from the Greek, poly meaning many, mer, parts. A polymer, many parts. Monomer, one part. So your SiO2 is a silica molecule connected to an O2 molecule, which is oxygen, to an Si, which is again silicon. Where was that one going, mate? That one there, that one there, that one there, that one there. That is your SiO2 monomer molecular diagram as such. So these work by filling in tiny little microscopic pores in your paintwork and kind of plugging them. So if you imagine on here, lots of little holes that's going into, and then creating a slick surface across the top. So if you wanted an SiO2 polymer, what you do is you just add lots more of them. And because of these empty bonds that you get here, here, and here, and here, and here, they just kind of grab onto other things. So usually they grab back onto themselves, they grab onto the other molecules. And then you end up with a polymer. So that is how a polymer coating works versus a ceramic coating. This one, the SiO2 or wax, is a very, very thin layer which grabs onto or fills microscopic little holes in your paintwork, or pores in the paint, and it just holds on to that. This one does the same. It fills microscopic pores, but it's a lot thicker because you can actually build it up. This one, very, very thin. Absolutely minimal abrasion protection. It just kind of causes stuff to slip across the surface rather than dragging across the surface. This one's a lot thicker, so if you did drag something across the surface, depending on its weight and hardness, we'll get to that in another video possibly, it's going to actually stand up against mechanical abrasion, whereas anything that comes in a spray bottle, very, very minimal. The only way that it will protect against scratches is because it's a slippery surface. So it's just there creating slip, minimising drag, minimising friction. So therefore, whatever's dragging across the surface can't grab hold of it to actually scratch it and cause damage. So now we've been waffling on about SiO2 for quite a while. We've got one of the coatings here. It's on there. It's still kind of curing a little bit. It was quite wet. We've got the one that was curing, and you'll probably find that the first one that we put down is now actually quite hard, and you can actually scrape at it with a plastic razor blade. I'm not advising you to do this on your car. This is a test car, and it doesn't really sort of do much. I can see it scratching, but it is a very, very thick layer of it, and as you can see, it's coming off in like little shards. This one, that one's still curing. Obviously it's not still curing, it's still drying, but that's because there's a hell of a lot of it. You imagine that you just put a really thin layer of paint on a wall, it's going to dry quite quickly. But if you throw a whole cup of paint at the wall, it's going to take quite a while to dry. Maybe 3-4 hours, maybe a couple of days. So over here we've got the SiO2 spray sealant. Pretty much just rubs off. But this one is still curing, still drying. This one is going a little bit harder, and this final one is pretty solid, but we'll leave that for a little bit longer because that is, look at that protection that would be, or that's the actual stuff that would be on your car in a very, very thin layer. This stuff here, you can see how it's got kind of like a gel form to it now. It's not a liquid, it's not a solid. Obviously, once again, we are doing these in very, very thick layers for demonstration purposes. I hope that somebody takes some educational value from these videos that I'm making. If you do, like and subscribe down below. And if there's anything else you would like to see, whether it's processes that we go through, tips and tricks for cleaning your own car, let us know in the comments below. And when we get time, we should make some videos explaining what you want to know. And in the case of today's video, I'm hoping that we can all tell the difference between spaghetti and noodles, or the difference between ceramic coatings and spray waxes and spray sealants sold as ceramic coatings. If it comes in a plastic spray bottle, it is not a ceramic.